All right, Skol Hoppers, welcome back to a quick preview of the upcoming Vikings versus Texan game. We have the Vikings taking on the Texans at home this Sunday in a Week 3 battle of unbeatens. So, Austin, I got a couple questions for you as we lead into this game. You ready?
Bring them on.
All right. So, question number one, with a little bit of preamble here. The Texans had a close win both against the Colts and the Bears, but the Vikings seemed to really handle the Giants, and then they looked really good against the 49ers. Who's got more to gain or more to lose in this game?
All right, if you just look at this upcoming Vikings-Texans game through the lens that you just said it, that the Texans kind of had close games against teams that haven't looked great so far, and the Vikings, they beat up on a bad team, and they had a pretty good win against a good team. If you just look at it at that, then how can you say the Vikings are going to lose? The Vikings have to be favorited, right? Now, obviously, we know the Texans are a very good team, and maybe that says more about the Colts and the Bears being better than their perceived value is right now. But just kind of looking at that, I mean, my confidence for a Vikings win just went up a little bit more. It'll be a good win, good game. I hope it's a win, but it'll be a good game for the Vikings. I don't expect it to be a blowout either way. I think it'll be a hard-fought game, and maybe one that comes down to the wire. But I think if the Vikings win, the narrative needs to change on the Vikings this year. The media, fans, you and I included, haven't expected much from our favorite team. And if they beat the Texans, then man, we gotta rethink some of these predictions here.
I saw a tweet somewhere out there that was basically saying, like, I hope the media continues to undervalue the Vikings because that'll just continue to ramp up the hype behind this team. And I don't know. They've looked really good through 2 games. The Texans haven't looked bad through 2 games. So it should be a pretty good game for sure. So my next question kind of dovetails off of that. Because both teams are 2 games in now, they're both, of course, expected to be dealing with some injury. So what effect do you think the injury report that just came out a few hours ago has on this game? And I'll recap some of the highlights really quickly. For the Vikings, we've got Jordan Addison, Ivan Pace, and Dallas Turner out. And then on the Texans side of the ball, both of the main running backs look to be out. Joe Mixon and his backup, and it looks like Cam Akers will be the featured back, former Viking. That's kind of interesting. And then I also noticed both of their centers / guards on the offensive line, two guys that have a center guard kind of designation are also questionable to play. So it seems like maybe some weakness on the offensive line and a potential weakness from the running back position, although the Vikings are very familiar with Cam Akers.
Yeah.
All of that to consider. What effect does that injury report on both sides of the ball have on this game?
I mean, yeah, it seems the injury bug has at least flirted with both of these teams so far early in the season. Dallas Turner is a little surprising to me. He didn't really pop up until midweek this week, and then he told the media, "Yeah, I'm not going to play this week." And then, of course, KOC confirmed that today. Jordan Addison, I feel like we haven't gotten much of him at all. He had a quiet first game and then missed the second game. And then, yeah, who else was out for the Vikings? Addison, Turner, and who else?
Ivan Pace.
Oh, that's huge. I mean, you talk about a guy he's made a couple of mistakes early on, but he's still been really solid. And the Flores defense really feels like we've finally seen the full edition of this Flores defense. And to miss a guy who's wearing that green dot in the defense, that's a huge loss. That may be the biggest loss for the Vikings this week. But like you said, the Texans are a little bit banged up too. Their offensive line, I wasn't aware of those injuries. I don't know if they're starters, but I mean, you never root for injuries, but strategy-wise, that could be good for the Vikings. And then their running back. We know Cam Akers is good. Even before he got injured last year, we were saying the whole season he was the best running back on the roster for the Vikings last year. And he couldn't get on the field for whatever reason. So I expect him to have a motivated game. There was that whole weird story how he had been reported that he was going to re-sign with the Vikings, and that never happened, and then all of a sudden he just signed with the Texans. So I'll be interested to see how he plays. I expect him to have a decent game. But the Vikings, they've had some injuries so far. One good thing is we didn't say Justin Jefferson is out. He's expected to play. Even if I'll take an 80% Justin Jefferson over 100% anybody else any day. And I think he's better than 80% so far. But yeah, it'll be something to follow. And I think that Ivan Pace one could be a huge loss for the Vikings this game.
Yeah. And another thing that I saw just kind of leading up to this game with this injury report was with those three big pieces out for the Vikings, Addison, Pace, and Turner. I like our depth. I like Jalen Naylor taking the spot of Jordan Addison at that wide receiver 2 position. Brian Asamoah hasn't had a ton of opportunities, but we haven't heard anything negative about him, and he's been on the team for a while, been a part of this scheme. So he's got an opportunity to step in where Ivan Pace has filled a really good position so far. And then Jihad Ward had a pretty decent game against the 49ers last week. And so he could be a guy to kind of step in and be on the lookout for in place of Dallas Turner. So, yeah, I like the Vikings' depth for sure. All right, final question before we get to official predictions here. I looked at the turnover margin for both teams. Houston is +2 in turnover differential, and the Vikings are an even 0. Is it as simple as whoever wins the turnover battle wins this game?
I mean, that's been KOC's mantra. I mean, what is he, 19-0 now when he's even or better in the turnover margin? That's a large sample size when it comes to the NFL, and if that's probably the number one stat. I think if we were to suddenly miss the game on Sunday and woke up Monday morning and we could only see one stat to try to figure out who won or lost, and it couldn't be the win column, I think you got to look at that turnover margin, because if the Vikings are even or better, I expect a win, which KOC has proven so far. Which that's not breaking news. I mean, usually if you cough the ball up, that makes it really hard to win a football game, especially in the NFL. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty important stat, and one that the Vikings have proven in KOC's tenure. So, yeah, that might be the most important after points.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I think as a head coach for KOC, it's on both sides of the ball. Even though he's an offensive-minded coach, he's got to put the offense in position to not turn the ball over, call the right plays, put Sam Darnold in position to make good plays, good reads downfield, good throws. But at the same time, that he's got a lot of trust in Brian Flores on the other side of the ball to dial up the pressure when needed. And the defense for the Vikings has been outstanding. I think the offense has been great, but I think the defense has definitely shown that it's the strongest unit on the team. Yeah, for sure.
Well, another note on that, Kevin O'Connell, he's such a planner. It feels like he has such a good game plan going in, and you can plan point A, B, C, D, and F all the way to Z, and then go into the triple A, triple B, everything like that. But the one thing you can't control, you can't plan for is, well, let's fumble or let's throw an interception. You can't plan around that. So, I mean, I think if his game plan goes the way he wants it to, which he's proven, then they're going to be solid and they're going to win most of the time.
All right, we got about 60 seconds left here. Final game prediction. Who wins? What's the score?
I'm calling it. I'm just going to ride the hot hand right now. I think the Vikings have proven themselves a little bit more through 2 games, which is a small sample size. I'm calling the Vikings are going to win, and it's going to be hard fought, although a relatively low-scoring NFL game. I think the Vikings are going to be 28, and the Saints, I don't know about the Saints. The Texans are going to be about 18, 17, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'll take the Vikings as well. I like the Vikings. We're homers, of course.
Yep.
Evidenced by everything around us. I think it's even lower scoring than what you indicate. I don't know that either of these teams hit 20 points. I think it's a defensive battle all the way through. I'm going to say Vikings 17, Texans 13.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think Will the Thrill continues his streak, and he's not going to get a haircut for a while. So
Will the Thrill is coming.
All right, man. Well, should be a good game. I'm looking forward to dissecting everything that happens, whether we're right or wrong, in our upcoming episode 59 of the Skol Hop. Should be good.
Wait.
All right. Skol.
Cool.